I would like for my wife to change. Something's not working in our marriage. So you're here to learn how to be the man that gets those things, how to do and be that man that gets the life that you want, the connection, the intimacy, the love, the respect, the trust and understanding. Or you're here because you saw the title, I want my wife to change. I want her bad behavior to change. So this is a live tribe call, gentlemen. My name is Jeff Allen. I've been a teacher for a long time. I retired from the public school system in 2016 as a social, emotional, and special education teacher, technically a behavior interventionist and an emotional interventionist. And I've been in private practice ever since 2016, working with families and now specifically men around long-term relationship, marriage. What's wrong? How can I fix it? How can I keep my family together? Why isn't she attracted to me anymore? Why does she want space? Why does she not love me? Today, we're going to talk about your wife won't change until her bad behavior stops working. Now, you absolutely have a role in that, and we're going to plow through that today. But how do I know what I can do to help motivate her in a healthy way, in a positive way? So, we're going to talk about the carrot versus the stick. You want to be the carrot in her life. You want to bring fun and calmness and trust and inspiration and desire into her life. You're not trying to punish her. You're not trying to use the stick. You're trying to be motivating in a positive way. Carrot versus the stick. How to apply logical or natural consequences. And we'll talk about that today. And what you must be doing as a husband to have a leg to stand on. In other words, how could she possibly want to do these things with you, for you, together with you? What's going to motivate her to do that if you're, if you're a lazy bum on the couch and you you flick cigarettes across the room and you ask her to bring her a beer as you belch in your underwear, probably not something that's going to be super motivational for her, right? Unless you're Brad Pitt, maybe he can get away with that. I don't know. I'm not Brad Pitt, so I can't speak for that. If you want to, real quick, get on my mailing list for I'm writing a book along with my partner Cynthia Cruz. Also, there's new articles that we put out if you want to be notified for live calls that are coming up or new training videos, which we put out at least every single week, sometimes more than once a week. Go to my subscriber link there, greatmenmovemountains.com/new subscriber. So let's say your wife is Elaine and she's wanting to buy soup from, I think it's the Soup Nazi, right? So here's a 1 minute example of a woman intentionally pushing boundary, intentionally pushing behavior because I don't know, she thinks it's fun. I think she was laughing at George prior to this because he acts all stilted and tries to be perfect so that the Soup Nazi doesn't ban him from the shop, right? So she's purposefully pushing boundaries. And so we're going to talk about this 1 minute video a couple of different times today as an example of what we're going to get into. All right.
One large crab bisque to go. Red. Beautiful.
You're pushing your luck, little man.
Sorry. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey there. One mulligatawny, and what is that right there? Is that lima bean?
Yes.
Never been a big fan. You know what? Has anyone ever told you look exactly like Al Pacino? You know, Scent of a Woman? Hoo-ah! Hoo-ah!
Very good. Very good. You know something? No soup for you. Come back. 1 year. Next.
No soup for you. Yeah. Now, arguably, she's not doing anything really crazy, right? She kind of bangs on the metal there to maybe annoy him or pushes buttons a bit. She's smiling. She's trying to talk with him. So she's not doing anything wrong per se, but he doesn't like her behavior and he decides on a consequence. Now, whether that's the carrot, it's definitely the stick here. He's definitely punishing her. But what is he doing? He's taking something away. He's taking something away that she wants. Right now, I'm not suggesting that you be the soup Nazi, but this man had boundaries with her. He didn't just take her behavior as it was and just have to accept it necessarily. So let's keep talking about this, certainly. Now I'm going to plow through. I'm assuming that you know the 3 levels of my kingly life path framework of masculine frame, emotional safety, and leading in intimacy. These are things I teach in one-on-one and in our private groups. You know the 3 sides of the Stoic triangle: virtue, control, and responsibility. These are all teachings I do other times. You want a level 3 relationship. You don't want just a level 1 instinctual desire. You don't want just a caveman honeymoon relationship. You want one that builds through level 2 of healthy communication. into level 3 of deep conscious intimacy, of practicing masculine and feminine polarity and sexuality and closeness and depth. You're a man, you're here because you're a man that wants growth. You want more than just base level instinctual desire and safety together. A couple of examples of men from the forum. So this man's talking about trust. These are very common scenarios that I see dozens of times every week, thousands of times over the years I've been doing this work. He says, question about trust I'd like to get perspective on, he posted in the forum. My soon-to-be ex laid into me for not trusting her enough and deciding the custody arrangement for the upcoming separation. I want to get on paper that whatever we decide is temporary for the separation portion and not to be used once the divorce is final unless agreed upon at that time. I got a bit triggered just because of all of her blaming and shaming him and told her to stop the judgment or I'm not having this conversation. She's correct, though, in some ways. I'm not really sure what she feels about it, that I don't trust her. I do trust her with day to day with the kids and trust her not to go spend gobs of cash, but I don't trust her with my feelings or with my perspectives or to hear me or see me anymore. I'm ready in case she wants to escalate. I don't think she will, but no guarantee. I need to be more businesslike, and it's hard with not enough distance. The distance of being at work helps. It's hitting me, though, about trust. I have a pretty good grasp of self trust. That's like trusting I'll be okay. And I've learned quite a bit about what can give women trust in their man, but what I don't really have is a grasp on what men trust in women or how to place deeper trust in someone. Trust seems to have expectations in future of outcomes or behavior, and that's something I struggle with. I've been burnt enough to know people change and people make bad decisions with respect to people they care about. We could talk high regard here, maybe, but that's sort of the other court. We could talk living more in the moment and trusting in that. We could talk living heart open, no matter the consequence. There's lots of related places, different trust labels like earned trust, which is past experience, tell me I can trust in future behavior. Just wanted to get some different perspective. So, what does trust mean? What are we expecting in marriage and in relationship? We're going to talk about that more here today as well. Another man says, full disclosure, when going through the 3 years of waiting in my own relationship, the beginning of movement towards an honest and open relationship was when I said after 3 years, so this is 3 years in limbo. When I said after 3 years that I'm done and you can do whatever you want, but I'm not going to try anymore. We're going to speak about this today, too. Sort of this phase when a man starts to give up and back away. It feels like we throw our hands up. It feels like apathy at that moment. It's a very common phase of this work. He says, note that it was just the beginning. I still had tons of growth work to do after that, but that's when things really started to change because she knew she couldn't jerk me around anymore. And I don't mean she was being maliciously manipulative, just that she was taking the easy path of least resistance that I had offered her. Another man says, it's been a process. 3 years ago, I was very clear with myself that I wanted things to work out. Marriage takes two, and she asked me to be patient with her and give her time. I agreed it is what I wanted. I've begun to suspect, however, that her request for patience was not really sincere, but manipulative. She seems perfectly happy now with the status quo and unwilling to change. I was asked to change by her, and I recently did because of my love for her and my commitment. However, 3 years later, I do not feel like I'm working with a sincere person. I don't trust her. I'm confused if I want things to work out with her. I feel completely and utterly negated by her and gutted by my sacrifice. For her, it's all about power. I suspect I just signed myself up to be used. Now, I'm sharing these examples because many men feel this way. These are three different men. They have three different personal work to do. A big piece of this and why you're here is to learn what you can control, what you can do about your own self, what you can actually influence. Not just she's bad, she's wrong. This is not a, dunk on women. It's all women's fault teaching or channel. That's not what I believe. I believe in self responsibility first. And a mistake that I made, many mistakes that I made in the past were to overextend myself, to have expectations that just went under the radar that I thought she knew. I just assumed. There was lots of assumptions that I made in the past, the nice guy tendencies that I had. And so you're here or you're doing this work because something's not going well in your life, or you're wanting to learn how to keep things going really well. So let's assume, per this topic today, that you want her to change. I want her to change. Well, the beginnings of that are emotional connection and common ground. Now, this goes deep into my academic training and also my 15 years now of experience in this field. that we have to have emotional connection. We have to have common ground first before anything else happens. We have to feel regulated. We have to feel safe in the moment. And we have to feel like the other person has at least a shared interest in mind, if not better than our best interest in mind, but at least an emotional connection and common ground. That's a mistake that I made in the past, not doing that first, either with my spouse, a friend, my child, right? A client, even. Do we have emotional common ground first? And only then is there the potential. Emotional common ground looks like, does she want the relationship right now? Does she look up to you? Does she desire you? Is she open to change with you? Does she want more with you? Do you have a shared vision together? And that's a big piece of this work. How do I become a man that cultivates that in my relationship with my woman or the next woman or women in my life? Emotional connection must come first before behavioral change. And behavioral change is a newly motivated desire. So if we want a new desire, we have to connect emotionally with that desire within our own self. If we want to change someone else or lead or model for someone else or influence someone else in a positive way, that's what we're talking about today. Behavioral change comes after emotional connection. A new desire comes after common ground. So are you practicing what you're wanting to receive? Are you being the kind of man that cultivates that in his life? And we're going to talk about what that looks like right now. Only then, if you lead the way in your heart, in your soul, in your behavior, day to day, week to week, month to month, only then is it possible to cultivate this new vision. Why would you think something would change if it doesn't start with you? Why would you think something would change if one side of the scale doesn't change? On the inside is our spirit, our belief in our value. Some people call this God, some call it the universe, some just say they go day to day and do the best they can. Some of us speak with our unconscious, right? Or I've quote spoken with my deceased grandfather, right? In my prayers, in my mind, in my meditations. But spirit is, where does hope and joy and love come from within you? If it only comes from outside of you, if it comes from the ego, that's always short lived. And short lived might be for a year or 10 years at a time, but it will decay over time. Anything outside of you will, of course, decay over time. So if we don't have a spiritual life on the inside of us, some type of spiritual practice, whatever that means to you, gratitude practice for 1 minute or one sentence a day, a breath practice, a breathing practice, particular specific awareness of, let's say, nature or going for walks and appreciating the beauty of life, having patience in a moment, being curious, not judging the other person, a healthy detachment from what's happening outside of you. Again, prayer or ascending love practice. Those are practices that you must have 1 minute a day, 3 minutes every other day, something in your life. Maybe you're doing this without even thinking about it, which is definitely possible. And then related, but definitely different, are daily accomplishments for your ego and long-term projects for your ego. These aren't bad things. We need to go to work to make money, to pay bills. These are all things that will decay and go away over time. Money is not ultimate fulfillment, of course. Neither is sex, neither is your woman's validation. So be aware within your own self the difference between spirit and ego, and we must build from the ground up. Ego without a heart is going to collapse over time. That's an example of something I teach my guys, the first 3 steps of your morning kingly plan, right? Gratitude for one thing. I look out the window in the morning and think that. I say that out loud or write it in my journal. Number 2, read one page of something inspirational. And number 3, ask yourself, what do I know to be true about myself that's positive? These are very quick, very simple spiritual practices you can bring into your life. Again, if you want to learn more about my trainings, greatmenmovemountains.com/new subscriber, get on my book wait list, check out, get notifications for all my calls that are coming up. Okay, some things to consider. We'll take a look at the chat here quickly of what you guys want to learn today, what behaviors you're trying to change in your life. So something to be aware of in your dynamics, your actions with your woman. There are alpha behaviors, which are ultimately attractive behaviors. Are you in physical shape? Are you able to engage her in emotional range in a conversation? Are you fun to be around? Right? Can you take her out? Can you take her on adventures? Can you offer her depth and open her in blooming, either sexually or mentally or emotionally, right? Those are alpha behaviors. And beta behaviors are comfort behaviors, where you're offering her security, a safe place. She can come cry on your shoulder. She can talk with you about her day. She feels like you're stable day to day, these kind of things. So if I'm just offering alpha behaviors and no beta behaviors, like a one night stand or just dating someone at the very beginning, the woman, she doesn't have a lot of comfort yet. There's no way for her to have that. And so this is more sexually attractive. However, are you sexually attractive is another way of I'm saying. If I just offer her comfort behaviors and no attractive behaviors, this is what happens when we go on autopilot in a long-term relationship. She feels comfort, but no attraction. And what we really want is both. We want her to feel comfortable in the relationship, and so do we, safety, security, for her to open and grow and bloom and share her emotions with us. We also want her to be sexually attracted and desire us as well. So if you're just offering her comfort behaviors, it's no surprise she doesn't feel attracted to you. Those are skills that I teach as well. So something to be aware of. Most men, including me, are very, very good at the comfort behaviors, doing things around the house, making sure everything's taken care of. We can live our own life. We don't need her to do the chores or make money and all this. But are we offering her attractive, adventurous behaviors as well, to welcoming her into desire? There's the attachment style. So very quickly on the left, the vertical axis here is anxious at the top and more calm in your the way you show up in day-to-day life. And across the bottom on the x-axis here is she or you more avoidant or more connecting? So if you're a woman is more calm with you and she's more connecting, or you're more calm in life and you're more connecting, you don't run away, that's secure attachment. But if she is more anxious, if she's more avoidant, these are dynamics that absolutely affect things. Yes. So I want to tip my hat to that. And what we're wanting is to invite her and ourselves into a more calm, connecting type of person, type of relationship. Now, at this point, a lot of men, they're moving from fear and they're wanting to move into more loving themselves, loving life. And there's the stage in the middle of apathy or feeling nothingness often, including when you feel more masculine in your life, when you're backing up, you're allowing her to worry about the relationship more. Sometimes you can get, and I can relate to this is why I created this graphic, to a place of feeling nothingness, or do I just not care about her anymore? Or man, if I have to back away and if I have to step away from inviting her or talking with her, what the hell's the point? What the hell's the point of relationship? And we can move into this apathetic place. So that's normal. I want to tip my hat to that's normal. And a piece of this work, piece of this, the phase of this work is to back away and stop trying so hard. Men that are nice guys, we try really hard. We often talk too much. We ask her too many questions. We try to do too many things. And when those things still don't work, we fall into a place of apathy or nothingness. And that's a normal place to be. So please don't beat yourself up for that. We don't want to stay there, but that's a normal place to be. So, what is healthy detachment? Allowing others to be who they are, allowing yourself to be who you are, not trying to force situations, knowing that solutions will emerge over time. You may not like them, but solutions will emerge over time if we're allowing others to be who they are and ourselves to be who they are. We're not forcing it. And then how do we have acceptance and embrace it? Detaching with love is good for everyone. What is detaching with love? If you're often worried about a loved one, disappointed or upset by their choices, or feel like your life revolves around whether they're doing well, then detachment with love can help. According to the Betty Ford Foundation, a detachment with love means caring enough about others to allow them to learn from their mistakes. To me, detaching means stepping back from obsessively worrying about others, telling others what to do, and trying to rescue them from the consequences of their choices. When we detach, we let others take responsibility for their own choices and don't interfere or try to protect them from any negative consequences that may result, such as not giving unsolicited advice, actually setting boundaries, allowing others to experience the natural consequences of their actions, recognizing that your feelings and needs are valid, expressing your own opinions and feelings, taking a time out from an unproductive or hurtful argument, not accepting responsibility for fixing or solving other people's problems, not making excuses for someone else's behavior, Staying focused on what you can control rather than worrying or thinking about what others are doing, not catastrophizing, not enabling. Codependency says, right? So a bad form of dependency, not good, too much, is I can feel your pain and I must do everything I can to make you feel better, even when that causes me suffering. A healthy detachment says, I can feel your pain, and if there is something I can do, I might choose to do it. However, it's not my duty to fix things for you, right? This is what you tell yourself, this is what you know about yourself and your relationship. Detachment is experiencing our feelings without allowing them to control us. We step back and look at things objectively. We let go and accept what we cannot change. We detach from others' choices, knowing that their spiritual work is not ours to do. We choose how we will act rather than just reacting. We step away from harmful cravings. Detachment is a deep breath of peace and patience in response to unexpected anger. We can listen without losing ourselves. With detachment, we see our mistakes honestly, make amends, and start fresh. There's certainly two types of motivation: internal, right? Intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. And what does marriage mean? This is my favorite one from Britannica here about marriage. It says marriage, a legally and socially sanctioned union, usually between a man and a woman, that's regulated by laws, rules, custom, beliefs, and attitudes that prescribe the rights and duties of the partners and accord status to their offspring. The universality of marriage within different societies and cultures is attributed to the many basic social and personal functions for which it provides. So, what does marriage mean to you? And it goes on to say, such as sexual gratification and regulation, division of labor between the sexes, economic production and consumption, and satisfaction of personal needs for affection, status, and companionship. So, what does marriage mean to you? What do you believe it means to you? Your wife won't change until her bad behavior stops working. So, let's talk more specifically about logical versus natural consequences for a minute. Now, go with me here. This is from a parenting website, and we all have a little child within us. And I want to use this as an example for a moment. The three R's of logical consequences: that they're related to the negative behavior, that they're respectful in the way they're communicated and enforced, and they're reasonable depending on the person's age and understanding. Now, if your wife, for instance, has trauma in her past, if she's unable to remain calm in certain situations, if she's physically, if her body goes into shutdown or overwhelm, that's something to consider, of course. Yeah. And then if we're trying to offer change, we have to have common ground there. We have to have an understanding. Now, that doesn't mean it's okay that she just blast off from there. But yes, our histories matter. There's a time to use logical consequences, and there's not times. So let's look at the two different. Logical consequences are when I do something, when I offer some kind of response, not necessarily a punishment. And a natural consequence is when I do nothing and allow the natural course of life to unfold without any kind of intervention myself. So a logical consequence can simply be a conversation, for instance. I notice, I believe, I want, and I've done whole trainings on this, so I won't belabor this. Another logical consequence is I may simply plan to spend more time away from her at the gym or building something in the workshop or in the garage or something that brings me purpose and joy in the world. Maybe it's career, maybe it's a project out in the world. So a logical consequence to her, let's say, being nasty is first a conversation, attempting to connect on a healthy level. And if that's not going well, maybe I'd plan to spend less time around her. And we'll talk about why here in a moment. A natural consequence where I don't have to do anything necessarily specifically is I'm just not going to want to spend as much time with a woman who doesn't treat me well or isn't joining me in a shared journey together. That's just a natural consequence of I'm not feeling great around her. I'll have less time and less presence with her. And she'll feel more allowed. She'll be allowed to feel her own agency more often if I'm not spending as much time with her. So what can we actually control here as the carrot versus the stick? Right? We don't want the stick to be this pitchfork that's pushing her forward and this constantly threatening thing. We want to offer her the carrot of us. And we have to be a man that's fun and easy to be around, that praises, that's non-judgmental, that we have a mission and a journey that we're on. We have a vision for intimacy that we're inviting her into. We're being our full self, including heart from the inside, spirit from the inside, and achievements in the world. And we have masculine frame for our own self, not punishing her with the stick per se. So Mark Manson has this great, what is it, 55-second video on the backwards law that I'll show right now. And we'll get into some more specifics here. Here we go, Mark Manson.
Have you ever heard of the backwards law? The idea is that seeking a positive experience can actually lead to a negative experience, while accepting a negative experience can bring a positive experience. Trying to be happy makes us less happy. Accepting unhappiness can actually make us happy. The more we try to make others love and accept us, the less they will. And more importantly, the less we will love and accept ourselves. But the more we try to feel confident, the more insecurities we will create. The more we accept our faults, the more comfortable we become in our own skin. The idea is to take the mind, this wonderful tool that we all have that has spent its entire life chasing goals and outcomes, and teach it to stop chasing goals and outcomes. And how do we do this? You do it by relinquishing control, by giving up, not because you feel powerless, but because you are powerful, because you decide to let go of things that are beyond your control.
So what can I control? Again, the Stoic triangle. What can I control? What are my values and my virtue? And what am I doing to take responsibility for my actions in my life? And this is where, again, that feeling of nothingness or loss can come in during this work, which makes absolute sense. And as a man, you want to know what you can actually do. What can I control? What's the carrot that I can actually control? Well, there are only 3 facets of what you can control in relationship, and that's your time, your attention, and your commitment. Now, your time means literally your face-to-face time with her, which includes your presence. If you're spending any time with your woman, you want to be present with her. I hope that you're not sitting in front of her watching TV while she does work, if either career or around the house or this kind of thing. You don't want to just be sitting and your focus being somewhere else while you're around your woman. This kills polarity. It kills sexual desire. Her mind's going to start to go of, well, why am I working and this guy's just sitting here? So maybe it's Netflix together. Maybe it's out doing something together, certainly. But when you're face to face, when you're with your woman in the same space, you want to be giving her your full presence, your full attention. You're not thinking about your taxes. You're not thinking about what you need to do for work on Monday. You're giving her presence. Now, that's a reward. That's a carrot in and of itself. You need to be fun, of course, to be around and easy to be around and safe for her. And how to do that, something that I teach, of course. But one huge carrot for you is your face-to-face presence, that you're fun, you open her into emotional range. Now, attention is when you're not literally in the room with her. These might be gifts that you buy for her. These might be acts of service that you do for her. This might be a way you reach out or you ask her about her day. Or, for instance, when you get home, you try to open her. That's also time with her, of course. But it's you offering her affirmation of the pains that she's going through or validation of who she is as a person. These are carrots of attention that you're offering her. And finally, commitment, and it goes in this order: how much time you're offering her, how much attention when you're not directly with her with gifts, acts of service, validation, are you offering her? And then ultimately commitment. So if I pull back my time, my face-to-face with her, maybe that's a natural consequence of her being nasty. Maybe I've done too many comfort behaviors, and so I need to back away and offer myself a chance to go to the gym more, build something, fuel my purpose, to grow my attractiveness. Or my attention. Maybe I'm spoiling her with acts of service. I'm doing too much. I'm doing too many chores. I'm trying to buy her love with gifts. I'm showering her with too much comfort and validation. I need to balance affection and attraction and with comfort. And ultimately, what ultimately can we control? Our sexual commitment and our relational commitment. These are the carrots that you offer in relationship. Right? Now let's look at, well, we're going to look at this man's example, but let's look at the Elaine video one more time. And this time, I want you to look at what George is doing with the soup Nazi guy, right? What is he doing? Is he offering an equal level here, or is he just kowtowing? And why is he kowtowing? He's in more fear. He doesn't want to lose the soup and the bread, right? There's something that he's so attached to that he's going to act in a certain way just to try to please the other person. And then look at Elaine. Where is she coming from with her behavior? What does she want with this man? It seems as though she's really just testing engagement. I don't know how much she really wants the soup, but let's look at this one more time from this new lens of what can we control? Our time, our attention, our commitment, and how is this other man, maybe not in such a healthy way, but how is he standing up for himself? The dude that's scooping out the soup.
One large crab bisque to go. Red.
Beautiful. You're pushing your luck, little man.
Sorry. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey there. One mulligatawny, and what is that right there? Is that lima bean?
Yes.
Never been a big fan. You know what? Has anyone ever told you look exactly like Al Pacino? You know, Scent of a Woman. Hoo-ah! Hoo-ah!
Very good. Very good. You know something? No soup for you. Come back 1 year. Next.
Come back 1 year. You know, Elaine is a lot cuter than I remember. I don't know if it's just because I'm old. It's probably because I'm older now. I think that's why. She's a lot cuter than I remember. All right. Well, I'm going to call on a bunch of you guys that have put into the chat here. I appreciate you coming in. Let's talk about what you've seen today, where you are. I want to hear your yeah, but I've tried this and it's not working. You said, I want to take my wife off the pedestal and learn about bad behavior. Able to come in, say more for us, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, bud. Good to see you.
Hey, it's good to be here, man. I had a conversation with a buddy at work kind of about what's going on, and he asked me a question after I had kind of admitted some of the things I've done wrong. What has she done wrong? And I legitimately had nothing. And then in my coaching, he said some things about emotional intelligence and how we handle things. And I realized that I've just kind of put her in a place of infallibility and not really accepted that she has done things that aren't always perfect. Which, I mean, I guess that's understandable. I love her, but maybe that's some codependence or something. I don't know. I don't know how to categorize that. Looking back now, like the more I take account, one of the biggest things that happened in our relationship was like 5 years ago, and it was I asked a question about something, and she gave me a permission to do the thing. Well, she really didn't want me to do the thing, but she didn't tell me, and that's been like the crux of all of our problems. So,
What specifically did you ask her, and what did she give you permission to do? But yeah,
okay,
good.
so it's kind of shameful, but I'll share it for you anyways. When my son was born, my my brother had been away in the military for like 4 years, and he had just gotten back that day. So I was there for the birth. I cut the cord. I was excited. I was present. I was helpful. I was there throughout the day. And then I asked her if that night I could go spend some time with my brother since I hadn't seen him for so long and celebrate. And she said yes. Well, I should have known that that wouldn't be okay for her. I don't know, I guess, but she also didn't express to me that that wasn't going to be okay. She gave me permission. So I went off with my brother, and she told me recently, last night actually, that and that felt as if she had been cheated on. It was that dramatic for her.
Okay. Do you think that it was wrong for you to be open with her, say, hey, I'd like to go do this, and ask her permission, so to speak? Do you think there was anything
I,
wrong with what you did?
I mean, it's the birth of my son, which is one of the most important moments in my life. So there's that to weigh. But it's also my brother who's been, away in dangerous circumstances who we didn't know if we would see again. So, that's significant as well. So I really don't know, man. I haven't decided.
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm not here to blow wind up your skirt, of course. I always say I'm not here to talk you into or out of anything. It
Yeah,
sounds like you were there for the birth. You cut the cord, 10 fingers, 10 toes, two testicles. That's
yeah,
what I was
yeah.
counting, right?
Oh yeah.
So you were there for the birth, and you said, hey, this other thing's really important to me. I want you to know, and I want to go do this. And she said, yeah, go do this. So what about that now are you concerned about, that she's changed her tune on whether that was okay with her current emotional feelings about it? What about it's unsettling for you?
It seems to be it seems to be so important to her that she can't love me again. She tells me that moment was so dramatic for her that she lost her emotional connection to me, and she's tried for all these years since to reconnect, and it just won't work. She says she pushes down her emotions about it in favor of the children. She's really only tried to make this work because we have kids, and now we have three. We have another daughter. So I guess just her reaction to it now is what is so unsettling. I mean, she wants a change that doesn't involve me, or is how she feels in the moment. And this isn't the first time she said that. We've gone up and down over the years, and it always comes back to, I don't love you anymore, and I haven't been able to figure out how. And she feels guilty for it. So,
Yeah, I hear you, man. That's obviously super painful. And
mhm.
you're the kind of man that doesn't ever want to have hurt your woman. I can see that in your
Right.
face. I can relate to
Yeah.
that. You want to show up for. So, what's your question about it? And let me frame it this way. So, your virtue are your values, your boundaries, and what you want. And part of your value there was to go to see your brother. Well, you were there for the birth and to see your brother. And of course, a value of yours is to show up for your woman, right? To show up for your family. I understand that. And you feel like that you did. Now,
Yeah.
with what she's saying now, what can you control with the way that she feels right now? You can't control the way she feels right now. You can't
No.
change her, right? So do you believe that you took responsibility? And I think you're trying to take responsibility for that now. I'm assuming that you apologize for the pain that you caused her, right?
Sure, profusely. And
Okay.
I've even taken actions to make sure that nothing like that ever happened again. For instance, when my daughter was born 2 years later, of course, the events that transpired around my son's birth were at the forefront of my mind, and I was going to make sure that she didn't feel that pain again. So I was there with her, by her side, the entire time. I never left until she left.
Okay. So what's your question about this when you wake up 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning thinking about this, or when you journal, or when you're, driving to the gym and you have time to think? What's your question about this?
what what can I do to help her see that I'm still safe, even though that this was a misunderstanding, and that it's possible to overcome these kind of things, and rely on me again. What do I have to do? What do I have to change? And I mean, that's the whole point of why we're all here in the first place, right? But I don't know. I don't really have like a specific question about it. I don't know if I'm giving you
Well,
what I need
yeah,
to
so
give
I'll
you.
say, I mean, without digging into every facet of your life and how you're showing up and the three sides or the three layers of, I'll show this again, the King Life path, which doesn't answer your question, right? Do I have frame in myself? Do I offer emotional safety? This is what you're asking. So without going into
Yeah.
the specifics of that, let's go a more holistic or spiritual direction, which is, what if you can't make her think that? What if you can't make her trust you? What if you've done everything that you possibly can? And this is the story of victimhood that she's entrenched in, and she wants to punish you, and she feels more strongly having that plexiglass to push against, to push you away. What if that gives her a sense of more identity and this like entrenched victimhood, and that's where she wants to stay, and you can't change that? What if that were the case? Then what?
That Then I have to just be there for my kids. I mean, I have to be there for myself, be there for my kids, support them any way I can, and just be the best I can be for her on the sidelines, I guess, as the mother of my children, but not really in her life anymore.
And that's of course terrifying, and
Yeah,
not being in her
absolutely.
life and scary. But
And
otherwise, it seems like you feel like you're showing up for your kids as best you can. It sounds like you're
yeah,
doing those things.
right now, yes. I mean, it always comes to some crazy extreme before I'll pull my head out of my butt and really start looking at myself. But yeah, right now, I feel like I'm doing pretty good.
Good, good. Well, I'm glad you're here. I don't have a magic answer without us, talking
No,
more about specifics and things like that.
it's,
But
yeah,
yeah, I'll say many women, and with the men that I work with, and the hundreds of men that I've worked with, and the thousands on the calls and the group calls and all this over the years and the trainings, and many times a woman will turn around and be interested in you again much, much later than you would expect, and much, much later than you would even wish. Because
yeah,
often you've given up on trying to fix the relationship, and to you as a man you start to move on. I'll put air quotes around all this stuff. It doesn't mean you have to divorce her right away, all these things,
right.
but giving up, dropping the rope, stop trying, often she
Yeah,
turns around much later than any of us would like, and that's through a
yeah.
time of pain and grieving.
We're in-house separated, and I've almost left a couple of times just because I couldn't handle the grief anymore. I was trying to run away from the problem. I realized later, with some help, but I've told myself that I owe it to my kids, and I owe it to their mother to be here and do whatever I can. I have to put my life on hold. I don't want to be alone forever, and but they need me now more than I need me. So maybe so I've decided not to go anywhere. I'll do this as long as I can.
Sure. Well, that's so a topic for another time, or maybe we could talk about this on another call, is
Yeah.
you are still important for
Yeah,
to be
I
able to
know.
show for,
Yes.
right? To be able to show up for
Yeah.
your kids and to be able to be the man in the world that you want to be and all that. Yeah, exactly.
If it comes to a point to where I can't be there for my kids because of the situation, then obviously I have to do something about that. But until I feel that that's absolutely necessary, here I am.
Sure. I'm glad you're here, man. It's good to see you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
come on in. Thanks for raising your hand. Thanks. That was great. Go for it. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you guys. Yeah, I guess I'll kind of like piggyback off. Yeah, I was in that situation for a little while. I'm now in like a different kind of limbo where we're getting along better. I'm more solid in me. I'm not trying to like, yeah, I'm definitely not reacting to her emotions as much. So she's coming at me in a different way, but I'm still like not getting the affection that I want. So I don't know if I'm definitely more of that role of she's feeling safe now where she wasn't before, but now I'm still like still getting rejected when I try to kiss her, always the head turn. But she says she loves me. She's been reaching her hand to hold my hand when we're out, which that's been a while since she's done that. I'm the initiator. So I'm going in the right direction, but I'm still not. I'm like, when are you going to turn around? When is this big turnaround going to happen, and to
Sure,
not
bud.
feel the
Yeah,
rejection
I
anymore?
get you. So give me a couple more details on, where the two of you are. What have you tried? How long have you been studying this work, for instance? Yeah.
I think I joined in November, I want to say.
So like 4 months
We have,
ago-ish. Yeah.
yeah,
Five,
we
five
haven't
months
slept
ago.
together. Yeah, we haven't slept together since November. But we also like weren't able to communicate that well. We did go to therapy for a little while, and she told me our last therapy session she was done. It was out of anger, but she was like, "I'm done." But we're still at home living together. We lay together. She'll shake her butt at me as like a sign, like you better start rubbing me, And I'll even say, "What do you want?" And she's real feminine, like, "Oh, if you want to," or. So there's that, but like if I try anything else, it's like, no, not get away from my, you know.
Yeah.
So uh which is hard for me because it's like if you don't want me that way, don't put me in this position where I'm like rubbing your butt and so we get along, we can still um go out and joke around together, but like that wears on my confidence, like just rejection all the
Sure.
time.
Sure, man.
Yeah,
Yeah. Hey, and thanks for being open about this and talking about it. So I'll just go at similar to what I was saying. I'm just going to go with the information that I have. Okay.
yeah.
So if you say, I want to fuck the shit out of you tonight, I just want to like I want to go, you're driving me crazy. I'm going to fuck you tonight. She's like, no, that's not going to happen. That's what something like that.
Well, honestly, it's been so long now that I've said to her like, "Oh God, I want you," but I haven't been open to be like, "I just want to fuck." Yeah,
Okay.
I
All right. Or if you
I'm
say,
almost too. Yeah,
if you're
go
more
ahead.
direct, and I'm asking for I'm assuming she's going to say no from what you're telling me. Okay.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah,
asking because a common mistake is that we don't say what we want. Now, again, jumping forward. I'm jumping past all of the other individual personal, like what else could be wrong. I'm just going right at your question. So one thing we
yeah.
don't do is we don't ask for what we want. Like for instance, have you said, I want your mouth on my cock right now? Put your mouth on my cock. Probably not.
No, yeah,
Okay. So why not? You're like afraid of her saying no, I would assume.
yeah. It's like I don't know if, or also afraid of like losing the closeness that we do have
Okay.
because yeah, because I took it too far. Like we should be like, oh no, why don't talk to me like that,
Okay.
and
Okay,
then want
good.
to like separate. Yeah,
Good. So have you heard of John Gottman, John and Julie Gottman? There's the Gottman research, and it's like 50 years of really. Anyway, so Dr. John
yeah,
Gottman calls it the State of the Union meeting conversation, and I call it Saturday morning coffee. Okay. So
okay,
let's say you sit down with her. Well, that's today's Saturday, but you have Sunday morning coffee tomorrow, and you sit down and you say, I love our connection. I love how we lay together. And I want to have sex with you. I want to be physical with you. But I'm concerned that if I say that, that we'll lose the connection that we do have. Tell me about that. Talk with me about that, sweetheart. Have you had any kind of conversation like that?
no, no,
Okay. Now, I'm jumping here for sake of time. Instead of just going for it and saying like, "Hey, I want to fuck, take your pants off." And if she probably would say no, fine, I get
mm,
that. Okay. And then you try that 2, 3 times over the next month. And after that month, you have coffee and you say what you just told me. Hey, I want to do these things, but I'm concerned that it's going to get in the way of our connection and our closeness. And I love those things with you, sweetheart. Talk with me about that. If I were to just say, pull your pants down, I want to fuck, how would that feel? You ask her. And what you're doing is you're being honest with your own self. You're being honest with her. You're not saying it in a walking on eggshells or a needy kind of way. You're not chastising her kind of way. This is the level 2 of healthy communication that I was showing earlier. If I jump back up, and we have to have that. We have to have healthy communication sometimes, guys. It's not just, wave a magic wand or say the magic words. So level 1 is the honeymoon instinctual desire, where we're sexually desirous. Maybe she wants safety with us, or you want safety in relationship, and it all feels great. And level 2 is to be able to have healthy communication. So that's what I would do. And then I'd love to hear what the next thing I would love to hear is how that goes. Because if she gets angry and punishes you and says, you should know, I've already talked about this, that's one thing. If she says, you know what, we're never having sex again. I told you this 5 months ago. We're never having sex again. That's a different answer. And if she says, I love our closeness too, and I'm not ready yet, or I don't feel safe in that yet. That's yet a different answer. And they're very, very different places for her to feel and what she's thinking about, like that.
Yeah. One thing, not I don't want to take up too much time, so if I am, then let
You're
me
good,
know.
man. Go
But
for it.
yeah, she usually whenever I try to kiss her, she turns her cheek and uh I wasn't like, oh, what the fuck? But I did
Yeah.
respond like, are you gonna kiss me again, or are you just done kissing me now? What's going on? And like joked around about it, and she said, sometimes I'm afraid of doing things like that or initiating things like that with you again, because then I think that you just expect them all the time. So I think she might reserve or hold herself back. If she does give in to anything, then it's like, oh, she believes that I'll be like, well, why not now? Or whatever the
Yeah.
case.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. And if I'm you and I said, well, tell me more about that. What does that mean for you? Or what would it mean for you, sweetie, if I did want this all the time? Or what does all the time mean? Did you ask her that?
No, no. So I need to get more curious about what she's saying.
Yeah, 100%, man. We hear every day women want to feel heard, they want to be understood, they want to be seen. And a lot of times they're closed down and they make it hard them because they don't want to show themselves. They don't want to give you the keys to the door. They don't want to. One woman said, lower the drawbridge and welcome you into my dungeon where all my secrets are hidden and all my darkest parts of myself live, because she's afraid of what that would mean. She's afraid of what it would mean if she, is sexual with you again, and the whole story behind that. And you're wanting to invite her to lower the drawbridge. You're wanting to see inside and be welcomed inside of that dark dungeon. And until then, until she, and this is slowly over time. And, if we talk another time, I could teach you more specifics, but until she feels like she can welcome you into that dark dungeon and she won't be judged, she won't be shamed for that invitation, then she'll keep it secret. She'll keep it closed. And maybe she's always had that secret. Yeah. So one step at a time. I call it the staircase of intimacy. So you've had
Yeah, your recommendation though would be, what did you say, to have that question first, that Sunday morning coffee discussion first, or try the like
Oh no. So I asked the, hey, let's fuck, or like, I want your mouth on my cock question. Number one is for, to like wake everybody up. But number two is, if we haven't asked for what we want, then we got to go there first. So you asked for the kiss. You talked about the kiss. That's what I would talk about. How long ago was that when she said, oh, I don't want to do this? Because
it was like 2 nights ago.
oh,
Yeah.
perfect. So you say, hey, sweetheart, I've been thinking since we talked a couple of nights ago about this, and I love that you told me your truth. I love that you shared that with me, that you're afraid. You honor her first, emotional connection first, emotional resonance first, as I was saying. And then you say, I want to know more about that. And it can't be from a place of, if I say the right things, then I'll get sex, or if I say the magic words, then she'll kiss me. It has to be true curiosity with
Yeah.
unattachment. Like I was asking, well, what if she never changes? What does that mean? And that's all for all of us. Any of us could pass at any time. Any one of us could have tragic happen in our life. So yeah, ask her more about it and then post in the forum or, reach out to me.
All right. Yeah, I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Good stuff. Thanks.
Yeah.
Really great question. Yeah. I'll take a look in the chat. And certainly, guys, raise your hand if you want to come in. So, my long term girlfriend stresses out over a variety of valid reasons not related to me and takes her frustration and anger out on me. Come on in and say more about that. What have you tried, or where does it cross the line for you?
I think it's this ongoing battle at having gone through a very traumatic divorce that involved my former spouse's infidelity and gaslighting, everything that goes along with that. I've been dating a woman for the last couple of years, and it's been a little rocky. And we took a trip together to Hawaii, and while we were there, fire at her house. And this is just an example, but it's an extreme example, but it's been going on. Anyway, she gets very stressed out. And the next thing you know, I'm getting attacked for the next couple of weeks while we're supposed to be in paradise, to the point where one day, maybe another 5 days to go, I said, hey, I'm going to go rent you a car. We had rented a very nice Airbnb. I'm going to get you a car. And tomorrow I am leaving. I'm not going home. I'll meet you at the airport, but I am not going to be putting up with this anymore.
Sure.
And part of participating in this call, and by the way, the folks that are going through in a marriage, I almost feel guilty because the dynamics are so different, because I could walk away. I love her, but I could walk away, and I don't have attachments like children or that sort of thing. So I just recognize that the guys who are going through some severe pain probably would think, well, I wish that was me. But long and the short of it is, what happened was I would have walked away. So first of all, the reaction from her was the next morning saying, hold on, I've been a total bitch the whole time. I'm sorry. And that's okay. But I had already sort of pulled away. And my intention was, when we got back home, to let this slip away and be done. Well, we get back and she has no place to live with her son. And I am in a house, I'm in a very large home with plenty of room. So I'm like, okay, now we didn't live together. I was in a separate room. She was in a separate room. Her son was there, who's an adult. I don't know. The long and the short of it is, I basically wrote this off and just was waiting for the opportunity to just separate. And it was really interesting, the response. At first, there was tremendous anger on her part. And on my part, I was stressed because I was doing something that was unnatural for me. I'm a classic good guy wanting to fix things, and was trying to help with working with the insurance company. I finally said, look, you let me know when you need my help. And I got another contract for work. I got focused on other things. And I don't know how to describe this, but over the last month or two, all of a sudden, the relationship is improving. And you might think I'm here to say, great. I think I need some validation that I'm using the right strategy, because I felt I had to disconnect. And I'm not sure, like, I took a lot of notes when you were talking about healthy disconnection. Or is that?
Yeah. Healthy detachment. Yeah.
Detachment, correct.
Yeah.
I can't say I tried a healthy detachment. I was trying to detach. And it's led to this renewed closeness. And I just don't know, is it real? And does it last? And how do I think I'm on this call partly because I just want to make sure I don't slip back into that, because I'm seeing this idea that, hey, you know what, I took a month trip to Florida. I said, hey, you're welcome to join me, but I'm going. And it's just been really interesting to see how she has responded. And it has taken a lot longer than I would have thought. But I'm not sure I have a question. I just was trying to understand, how do you know when you're doing healthy detachment versus, I don't give a shit anymore. I don't like you anymore. You know what I mean? I don't like you anymore. How do you know when you're crossing the line to unhealthy detachment?
Sure. Yeah. This is great. So let's talk about this. Unhealthy would be that you're punishing her, you're trying to manipulate her. So have you heard of Jocko Willink, who's got that video Good online? He's a retired Navy SEAL commander. So he has a quote that says, "What's the difference between leadership and manipulation? And its intent. If your intent is to move towards something positive, of to bloom love in the world, to grow positivity in your own life, to build something together, and she's not joining you in that journey. In fact, she's being nasty and hurting that space, then naturally you're not going to want to be around her. That's part of the natural consequences that I was showing you, because you're
Right.
wanting to move and grow something positive. That's a good thing. You're not going to want to be around someone who, like I say, kicks your dog every day and burns your house down, and is nasty to your family. You're not going to want to be around that person, or an employer that's nasty to you. You're not going to want to be around that person. So it's healthy when you're moving towards something, you're trying to lead towards something positive. And unhealthy is when you're trying to punish or control per se, or manipulate just for your own sake, just for the short term. Now, you said, is it real and will it last? Now, it really depends on what the definition of those words are, because nothing lasts. So part of masculine, let me take a step back here. One thing I had no idea about was these natural laws of polarity in relationship, of masculine energy and feminine energy. And we do this naturally when we first meet a woman. And this is why we were attracted in the first place, and the hormones that are going through our body and all the biology.
Right.
But we normally act less interested in being in relationship than the woman. She's usually more interested in appeasing us, pleasing us, being feminine, more movements, dressing up, more expressive, more feminine. And we naturally, most men, naturally are more masculine, right? We're not spending as much time on we don't do makeup, and we're not jumping through our
Right.
butt usually. Like, she's usually the one, moving more and all these things. Now, in relationship, because we've been taught from childhood or culture or whatever it is, to be the plow horse, the
Right.
workhorse, do everything, happy wife, happy life, all that shit, is we end up doing way too much, way too
Exactly.
much. Yeah.
Right.
And it kills the attraction. It kills the polarity. That's the point of my alpha behaviors and beta behaviors graphic here that I
Well,
drew up
I
this
think that's
morning.
why I think that's why I'm nervous. I'm nervous about switching right back to that good guy because all of a sudden she is affectionate and respectful and we're having really good conversations. And the next thing I know, I'm trying to solve the problems again. And it
Right.
is so hard to not go there because this is the most healthy we've been
Yeah. Yeah.
in like the last 2 years. And it's only been about a month. And I'm like, I swear I didn't do it on purpose. I did it because I couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm not married to her. So I could get that separation without a breakup or a big deal. We live in separate homes. So I think if as I'm speaking with you, I think the underlying fear is don't do what you did before, which is go right back to trying to fix her problems. Because what I've actually done effectively, it's like, the blind squirrel bumping into a nut.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't help you, but I care about you. So how about you let me know when you need help? Otherwise, I'm not going to ask you about it. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to do my thing. And that was very hard to me. That was almost like that was a big stand for me. And I thought it would lead to her saying, look, this isn't working. And I was okay with that.
Yeah.
It's just, I guess it's that fear of slipping back in with all good intentions, wanting to be the plow horse again. And that's not what she wants, but I almost want it. It's
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah. We've been conditioned in certain ways, and this is like a new sport. It's their skills. You absolutely can learn them, like you're discovering. That's why you're here. I had to learn these things, right? 100%. And the fear is within, you can control everything that you're saying, that you're talking about you. And
Right.
so the intention is, let's see, what would be an underlying intention? There's a big mistake that I used to make, which was when I didn't feel good in myself, like I'm having a bad day, or I'm upset about life for some reason, or I'm, kind of being whiny in the inside. I would go to my woman to make myself feel better, or I'd accidentally vomit all that shit on her, or I'd want her attention or her touch so I would feel better. And that was using her as a salve or using her as a therapist. And that really killed a lot of the sexual desire in the relationship. So
Yeah.
is there one, you said trying to fix things for her. Now you can care about her, but maybe do it 10% of what your instinct would tell you, because your instincts have been off base. It's a new sport. So is that,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah.
I
Is
think
there
I think
another?
that's
Mhm, go ahead.
no, no, I was going to say that's I think where the fear is coming from is that I can feel this pull back to what she doesn't need.
Right. When she
And
also needs a man like you have done to stand up for bullshit against bullshit behavior. And it doesn't need to be
Yeah.
in a nasty way. It's a look that such and such isn't working for me. I'm gonna go do this. Let's let's connect again when, on Saturday.
Exactly.
Let's right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, it was really powerful. And what made it most powerful was I didn't do it out of anger or hatred. I
Perfect.
did it because I recognized I was in an unhealthy place and there was no way out but to step aside.
That's perfect. And this applies to every man here. So you said, you're not married. I get it. And I understand what you're saying. Yes, it's easier to be emotionally not as attached, but this is the same exact concept for every man, regardless. And that man may not have to get divorced, doesn't want to get divorced right away, but all he has are the things that you just described back down to what do we all that we have here? I'll show this for everyone. We have our physical time with her, right? Because it's fun to be with us. We offer her emotional range. It should be. If it's not, that's a problem within us. So
Right.
your time, your attention, acts of service, gifts, thinking about her, validation, and then ultimately your sexual and then ultimately your relational commitment with her. So you pull back on time, not to punish, but because you just don't want to be around a person who's nasty. You're just
Right.
not going to want that. So don't, some men think I have to just keep showing up to be the punching bag. No, you don't. Okay?
That's right. And actually that's what I was doing.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And by the way, as everybody on this call knows, it did not work
Right.
because she just punched harder and it tore me up.
Right.
And then at my worst, I just then push back and say things I don't mean and I regret. And in this case, I was able to say, I'm not going to go there. I never said, she used the B word. I did not. I never called her a name. It's just not my nature.
Yeah.
But I never got that mad. It was more like, I'm stunned and will step away. And again, I don't want to manipulate time. This is so helpful. And the guys that have been sharing have been, first of all, so genuine. I'm learning so much from everybody. And I just want to thank you as well, because as it turns out, I'm not sure I had a question. I don't know what to do with this. And there's not a lot of people to talk to who get it because they wouldn't get it. There's no place to go to see if I'm doing it right.
Yeah, well, you're welcome. It sounds like you're doing great. Here's some homework for you, and I'll jump to the next guy. Here's some homework
Sure.
for you. What often comes at this point, and I alluded to this earlier, is grief that relationship and romance isn't what we thought it was. So, grief that I can't just always run to her with my emotions, grief that, I can't be what I thought. It's not the same as I thought it was going to be. And so the loss of that expectation, the loss of that expected story has grief around it. And often that unprocessed grief will push us unconsciously back to our old habits. So for you, it's what do I feel like the homework for you, just you to write out or post in the forum or ask me if you like, or, share with me is what
Right.
do I feel like I'm losing because romance and relationship isn't what I thought that it was? And then the next bit of homework is what do I gain or what is this wisdom bringing me? Two different pieces. What's the grief around the loss and what is this gaining for me? What's my new perspective? So work on that.
I will. And you're right. I actually have recognized there is a grief here that it isn't what I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Thanks again.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad you're here. Great question for sure. All right. You put it as my wife is pulling away more and more, she keeps bringing up past issues that never seemed like issues in the past. They're now colored with her current feelings. So to her, these past issues are all viewed as negative. Yeah. What do you want to say about that? Or what would you want to add to what we've been talking about? Come on in, please.
Yeah, well, I mean, she'll just bring up something that I didn't even think was a negative thing in the past. I told you one example was when we first got married, we were given a ticket to the escape game, to an escape game, right? And she was pregnant and she didn't want to do it. And I encouraged her to do it and she did it. And so she found just recently a picture from that. And she just said, well, how do you think this went? Because it was awful and you forced me into doing this. And it's just not the way that I felt that it went at the time. Yeah, it's just, and there's other things like that. So yeah, what do I do? What can I do if she's taking her feelings now and coloring the past?
Yeah, great question. And you and I work together, of course. And So for now, I'll say something similar as I did, which is assuming that you've apologized and you've done the best to open your heart around that thing. And so, well, what else can you do?
Nothing.
Right. That's right. I mean, you could keep punishing yourself in an attempt to make amends, but that never works. I mean, if that worked, none of us would have that question, right? We just keep punishing ourselves until she forgives us. But that doesn't work. What she actually wants, and many women don't know this, is what she actually wants is for you to heal something that you don't have the power to heal, which is her own view of herself. She gave permission. I asked her and she gave me permission to go see my brother even right after the birth. Well, she didn't really want him to go. So why did she say, yeah, go? It's many women chameleon themselves to what they think their man wants, and then they resent themselves later and they
Yeah.
project that resentment onto us. So you can't actually heal something that's a wound within her.
Yeah.
She has to heal that for her own self. And you can't really tell her that. All we can do is apologize, usually once, and then say, I have compassion for that. Like, yeah, you're right. That must have been really painful. And that's it. And if we keep punishing ourselves, it feels like we're actually at fault. It looks like to her like we think we're at fault too if we keep punishing ourselves. So part of our role is to stop punishing ourselves about it.
Yeah. That's hard, but I mean, just like hearing a story, it was like I'm on his side. He asked, and yeah, if my brother came, like he was stationed overseas and then came home, it would be hard. Like, yeah, I'm my son's being born, but I miss my brother, and I don't know if he's going to get stationed again. So I need that family time too. So
Yeah.
yeah,
To your point, and our role is to back away trying to change her opinion of us. Because if she has nothing to push against, it won't feed into the narrative that she's presenting. And that's the best thing that we can do, is to not feed into the narrative as best possible.
yeah.
Yeah. Great question. Thanks. Good to see you. Let's take a look here. He said he's here to learn and self-reflect on what I can do to help the relationship. How long should a person wait, or how many chances should someone give a person to learn from mistakes? Well, so I'll answer in a broad sweeping way. There's no perfect answer to this, of course, but men ask me, how much time and effort should I put into this men's work before I give myself credit? And I say a year, at least 1 year. Now, many men have been doing this work longer than a year, and I'm not here to tell you it should take 3 months or 3 years or how long it should take, but a year of you feeling solid in yourself, practicing masculine frame, emotional safety, leadership, a year of not shooting yourself in the foot by taking things out on her, being angry at her, blaming her, a year of joining calls, of reading books, of journaling, of going for walks, of lifting weights in the gym, a year of putting points on your own scoreboard, not turning to her to ask, how many points have I got this week, mommy? If you do a full year of feeling like 90% plus, you're doing well in your own eyes and your own mind, that's just a great time frame to focus on this work and not even worry about it. Not worry about sex, not worrying about, because most guys come to this, we have kids, we're married, right? So a year without even asking her for much, without expecting anything from her, a year of joining these calls, that's what I would say. Yeah, come on in, please.
I really appreciate that answer, but I have to be honest, I kind of asked that from her perspective against myself. How long should she be prepared to wait for me to change when it's already been 5 years,
I guess I don't really understand the question. So she looks at you and she says, how long should I wait for you to change to be a better man according to my judgments, like that?
I suppose so, yeah. Yeah.
And that's an impossible question. Like,
Sure.
there's
Right. Yeah.
So what
I
do you,
expected.
yeah, let me think for a second. In that frame, it seems as though if I'm you and I'm in that frame, I've been trying to get her to give me the stamp of approval. Like, I'm done on the assembly line. I've got the stamp of approval. She is forever going to trust me. She's never going to feel upset with me. I'm never going to say something that upsets her, right? Like, everything's going to be fucking copacetic for that. That's not real. None of that's real.
No, no.
So you can never promise a woman to never hurt her feelings. In fact, quite the opposite. You're going to hurt each other. You can never promise her to feel always trusting and all this. Quite the opposite. Life has ups and downs. sweetheart, life has ups and downs. I want to build this together through the mud, through the snow, right? Through the sunny days and the flowers and through the tragedies. I want to build this together. And even though we're going to hurt each other, I want to be there with you along the way. I see us in rocking chairs together on the front porch when we're 80 years old and having crazy sex along the way and, needing time and space from each other along the way too. And I want all that messy life with you. Like that's really the answer. You can never be the perfect fucking toy soldier that
Yeah.
she has in her mind or something. That's impossible. And really, if I say I want you to be the perfect employee, let's pretend that you work for me, Robert, right? And I'm like, I want you to be the perfect employee. I want you to get 100% marks all across the way. You have to close every single client that I give you. Like, a client of yours can never be upset. You can never make a mistake in any of your work ever. How long am I going to have to wait for you to be that employee? That's a ridiculous question. It's a non-starter the way I'm framing it.
Mm-hmm.
So how's that come across to you?
Perfect.
Yeah. And we just put it's back to, we thought being a good man meant she was never upset with us.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely a false start, not true, never
Yeah.
has been true. Yeah. Great question. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is there a chance she needs to blame your choice after she said yes to feel better about her part of that decision? Yeah, absolutely. Like that's what's happening. Just blaming him. Do you want to say more about that?
No, I was just reflecting what you said there, Jeff, around, I think part of the healthy detachment is accepting that I'm shit at this, but I'm working on it. Accepting that that is part of the brave masculine, which is to acknowledge that there's things that she's going to be hurt about and that she may turn them on you, not maliciously, but just as part of self-preservation. And you just need to accept that, as long as it's not violating your boundaries, and let her have that emotional storm and have the confidence and calmness to let the storm pass. And easier said than done. I'm terrible at that, but that's what I was trying to reflect.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. Thank you. And to expect, because I had no idea about what I'm about to say, to expect that she's going to throw a wrench in the gear sometimes just for the fuck of it. And then she's not doing it necessarily on purpose. But if life's boring, hey, you're right there. Let's jam a stick in the spokes and see what happens.
It's also like safer for her to blame you.
Oh yeah.
To blame herself, right? I don't know if it's healthy or not. You can, maybe this is a question for you, but part of the relationship is allowing herself allowing her a bit of that,
Say that last part, allowing her to what?
Allowing a bit of that, like, redirection. Like, it can feel really unsafe. I think it's Barbara who writes Understanding Women.
Oh, Alison Armstrong.
Alison Armstrong. I think she talked about like the idea of like, it's a lot safer for you to have clauses because that means she gets kicked out of the tribe.
Oh yeah. If I understand you correctly, if we're trying to be perfect, it's an impossible standard for us and it's an impossible standard for her, and it only erodes us all from the inside, if that's what you mean. So yeah, that's a part of what I was just saying to your point of, I want messy life with you, sweetheart. Like that's what this is. Yeah, exactly. Thanks. Appreciate it. We'll close out here in a minute. I believe he's still here to give us some final words. And again, if you want to be on my notices for my book that's coming out, for articles, for free trainings, for new YouTube videos, of course, when they drop, and live tribe calls, and also the C Note Show open calls, get on my subscriber list, greatmenmovemountains.com/new subscriber. And even if you think you're on my list, go ahead and just punch your email in to make sure. Come on in. You said, ask her a what or how question into what she needs to change. You can't change the past. You can only build the future. But without a direction to focus on, you're drifting. She has a responsibility to provide direction. Come on and talk about that. You think, tell me about a woman's responsibility to provide direction.
Well, if you keep beating the same drum, you're going to dance the same dance. You want to take it in a different direction. She's bringing that up continually, and you're having the same conversation. He's apologized. That's it. Apologize once. Say, I wasn't aware that I hurt you. It was his intention. His intention was never to hurt her. But if he asks a what and how question, what needs to happen in the future to get us to a better place? How do I do that? That takes them in another dance in a different direction. It's a bit like the other chap in Hawaii. I'm not putting up with this anymore. I'll meet you at the airport. And so maybe she's got to be given that sense of direction. We can't keep doing this. until you've, until she's done a bit of work on herself, because she's blaming him for the way she felt. Well, as per what you said earlier, Jeff, she had the opportunity to be honest with him. I don't want you to do that. Can you go and see him tomorrow? Because she wasn't honest, it's not his fault.
Yeah, that's well said. That's very well said. So there's two pieces, right? There's the emotional connection of I'm sorry that you were hurt and that pains me. I never wanted to do that. And then there's the behavioral piece of I want you to tell me the truth. You have to be open and real with me, and that's what I want together. Or to your point, what can change in the future or how can we make this better? I appreciate that. Absolutely. I love you guys being here. Email me if you have any questions. If you want to reach out, Jeff at greatmenmovemountains.com. I will see you next time. Have a great weekend. Appreciate you guys.